Hi, welcome to Coffee with Carrie, where we are finding faith and hope through unexpected journeys. Today's guest is Danielle Busby. She is the star of the TLC reality show Outdaughtered, and she'll be sharing her journey of infertility and how God was with her every step. So welcome, Danielle.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
I have never met you or spoken to you, so I think this interview is going to be really interesting. Like a lot to learn. So I wanted to start first. I shared a little bit with you before we started to record that I am a blended family of 8, so I get a big family.
And I love that.
Yeah. But
we say 4 or more.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Somebody told me one time years ago before I had kids, he said, I think they had 12. And he said, what is a pound to an elephant? It's nothing. Yeah. He's like, after 4, it's like, whatever.
Exactly.
It means nothing. Yeah. So I identify with a large family, but I don't identify with having all of the same developmental levels, right? In the stages. So let's start by just talking to me what a day in the life of the Busby home is like right now.
It's interesting over the years how it's changed a lot. I mean, I just told you, like the Quints, we celebrate their 10th birthday, and Blake is 14, our oldest. And so our 14-year-old's always been very independent. And so she goes to school like an hour later than the Quints. And so she's very like, you don't really see her until she's like, drive me to school. Yeah. She's like in her room, does her hair, everything. She grabs breakfast and she's like, let's go. But with the Quints, everything is either hectic or it's calm, So like the mornings of like, they're in 4th grade. So that hour, like get to school, whatever, it's chaos. We have routine, we have structure, but every day, I mean, it never goes as planned. Like that is just like the story of life. Like anything that we plan, if you look back at like our story and infertility and like what God's done in our life, like it's still every day is unplanned. I love structure. I love routine. We have a schedule, but something always happens. And you just have to be accepting and like have peace with that because it's chaos. But, as they've gotten older, like we get them to school and then the day is interesting and it can be quiet. But we also work and have businesses and we have our own podcasts. And so we're constantly busy along with work. But then after school, it's like
chaos,
But they're at an age where we love to, you get to like really have like full on personalities and like all different, And so it's fun experiencing life through your kids' eyes and just like different levels of joys. Our house is always filled with joy and laughter, but a lot of hard too. But those challenges are what keep us strong and what keep us remind us that like we need God constantly. Amen. Like every day, I'm still asking for strength every single day.
Yeah.
But it's nothing I would change, and every year is a blessing and something that I never thought I'd have, and I'm constantly reminded of that, especially in birthday season, which we're in. That it just takes you back to like, man, it was so hard. And it's not that it's easy now, but it's a blessing to be able to be in the hard, And it's beautiful. I mean, Adam and I are, been able to be flexible to have our own schedule and work within the boundaries of like our schedule. And like, we want to be here for the kids and do for the kids and be at the things with the kids. And so I'm just super fortunate and blessed that, we want family to be the priority and work outside of those boundaries, you know. And not everybody can do that. And I never thought we would be able to have a life like this. And so struggle, but it's joy.
Yeah. I love what you're saying too, because I think that it's those moments where I feel like it's real ministry. Yeah. Like in the mornings when you've already had maybe time with the Lord, and then you're like, now this is like rubber meets the road. Like, and I've been convicted a lot. And have had to like regroup and say like, what are my kids going to remember? Yeah. And it is chaotic, like I shared with you, I've got a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, bonus kiddos. I have a junior high kiddo, and they're all needing to be taken to school at different times. And then, and it's like those moments, even if it's, a fraction of their day I'm around, like what what matters is like how I'm interacting. And like
Exactly.
that type A personality is like, okay, it's okay that you want your hair in pigtails with a braid, a bubble, and it's 2 minutes and you didn't
You
tell
better
me.
be the first to ask, because by the third or
calm.
fourth, my
Yes,
hands are hurt. My hands are numb.
Yes. And I love that. So a lot of people know you from your Outdaughter TLC show. Can you tell me like how that started? Like how did you ever think that the world would get to know your family and be a part of your life for like almost a decade?
I mean, it still doesn't feel like it's me. Like that's my life. Like
Yeah.
honestly, when I found out we were pregnant with the Quints, that story is kind of what started our blog. It's a Buzzworld is what it became, because Adam, my husband, our last name's Busby, and I always called him Buzz. And so it's like, what's this world? He's the only man, and it's a girl's world. And so it's like, it's a Buzzworld. But the story of like when we found out we were pregnant with the Quints went from you're pregnant to there's a baby in the womb with some other fluid looking spots to turned out to be quadruplets to then quintuplets.
Wow.
And so those medical doctor's appointments were very often, like every other week in the very beginning. And it was just really hard because to keep up with telling our family, like, what's going on. And when you tell one person, you tell your mom this, you tell your mom that, they tell someone, the story is never the same. It's like playing telephone, right? So I was like, we started a blog to literally just talk about, like, this is the update. Here, family, read it from me. This is what has happened, you know? Yeah. And it just started getting shared over and over and over again. I mean, Adam knows the numbers of millions times over around the world. And
were y'all shocked by that? I mean, did you anticipate that response?
No.
You were thinking it was like family. Like, this is my
It was
circle.
literally created so that I could tell everybody. I mean, I can't call and text everybody every single time I'm at the doctor. And so I felt more comfortable being like, and also it was therapeutic for me to be like, let me just like process this. And I would blog it and I'd be like, okay, here's the weekly blog. Guys, this is what happened. This is what's happened. And then I don't know. I don't even know how it did that. Like, it just went, and it was on Facebook, and then just started to really share through that. I had zero idea what was going on behind the scenes. My head never really went there, and like the media side of it. Adam's always been like into photography and media and digital stuff, and knows all those gadgets and all that kind of stuff. And my head was just in this is what's happening to me, and I'm going with it. And so I think whenever it came closer to like delivery time and like I'm in the hospital and it's getting real, I always wanted to capture that day. And I never knew what that day was going to be because, you know, I didn't know if I was going to survive, if they were going to survive, if what the story was going to be at that point. And so I just wanted it captured. And a lot of that capturing, and Adam will say, like, there's media coming in from all over, from the UK to, you know, all over. We can do this for you. We can get you this show. And it's like, if you think I'm thinking about a show, like, you've got another thing coming. Like, I'm worried about, like, health and, like, surviving.
I am big and pregnant, okay?
I'm trying to eat.
My hormones.
That is my job. I'm
to
trying
sleep.
to eat. And so, I think that we had.
So they were already like getting with you guys, trying to reach out, saying we want to start a show, a reality, something.
And I don't know any of this. Like, Adam is like trying to manage all that and probably stressing about all that and not wanting to like put that weight on me. And because I'd have been like, dude, just ignore me. Like, let's just not do it. But, you know, God works in his own ways. And I think that we got, he ended up just connecting with one guy, and it's Uncle Brad, who we still call Uncle Brad. Our kids have always called him Uncle Brad. And, you know, like, we just felt comfortable with him. And, like, he has kids of his own, just family dynamic, and was already working within Houston in a hospital with his own, like, medical show. So he was familiar with working in a hospital. And, you know, if you're thinking, like, capturing, like, what does it take to be there to capture this and cover that? Like, that's a lot of, like, background stuff that you have to get approval for and stuff. And not like we knew that. So it just worked out. We connected with him. We enjoyed him. And then really there was no outdaughtered TLC show in the beginning. It was just filming. It was just capturing.
What were y'all posting it on social media or?
Not really. I mean, this was a
this
whirlwind of like.
We're just filming. We don't know what we're going to do with it.
Capturing.
Yeah.
We're just capturing. And so really once they came home, once they all came home, because they came home in waves, once they all were home, it was just kind of like, Brad, who was the producer, creator of the show, he met our family. He knows our family. He's just like, y'all are different. Like there's something special about this family, and not just specifically like you had the first all-girl surviving quintuplets in America, but like your family, like there's something special about this. And so we created like a little sizzle reel, they call it, kind of like something you'd market. And yeah, just a couple networks wanted to pick it up, and we were really going with a more like Christian-based network, and then which was very new. But TLC came and is really popular with like the Kate Plus 8 and like all those, like they've done this. And, it's something like we never really thought would ever really take off, because we're like, who's going to watch us? And then 10 years into it, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that just became the life. And we prayed about it a lot and just felt like, okay, if God wants us to share our story, which is something that we've always believed in, is value of sharing your story. No matter who you are, like you have a purpose, you have a story, and it's going to touch the life of someone. And God, I believe that God's going to put people in your life to bond you in some way, whether it's through infertility, through its hardship, or family dynamics, or marriage, or parenting. Like there's been so many people who have spoken to my life. Just like, I love the way God works in like mysterious ways like that. And where he plants seeds, and you're like, whoa, that's something I prayed about, and that person just spoke to me about that. They don't even know me.
Yeah.
They don't even know that I just prayed for that. Adam doesn't even know I've been praying for that, So the value of story is huge. And so when we got exposed to this platform of being able to share our story, it didn't really get projected in the faith-based story, but that was a struggle. But it also was a way for people to really dig in, like, let me follow them on social media and see who they really are, and all these other things. And so it really just started off with, kind of capturing life, and, producer kind of seeing something and saying, like, can we, let's create this little sizzle thing, and turned into deciding to work with TLC because they were familiar with working with multiples and production and stuff, and what it did.
I had a pastor say one time, when you're in the will of God, it's like you're on a conveyor belt and you're just going. Did you guys feel like that? Like, it was like,
great.
I don't. This is
I've never
not
heard
even
that, but
me.
that's actually true.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Because still to this day, I still think like, wow, like that's our life, like that's what we've gone through, and so I love that analogy. Yeah. It's very, very true.
And it sounds like your faith is very strong. Like even what you're saying, like connecting the dots. And I think sometimes we get so busy in the hurry that we don't realize that God is answering prayers that we've already asked for, but we haven't slowed down to see them.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like you are able to connect those, and you anticipate, God, you're moving, right?
Yeah.
I think,
even if it was for, when you're in that public eye for 10 years, there's a lot of things that you grow and know how things work, communication, like who you're going to be involved with. And from the very beginning, Adam and I always said there's something more. We've always said that, even before we became outdaughtered. That's a piece of us, but it's not who we are.
Yeah. And
the media world will see like you're the outdaughtered family, but like honestly, we're the Busby family. And outdaughtered took over our life, but it wasn't our life. Like that wasn't our hearts. That was, we it's hard to explain this because it was our life. We were being a family of 8, having quintuplets, and it was all at the same time. So there was not something new before the other, kind of a sense. You know what I'm, does that make sense? Like we jumped into this and we did it all. So we're on this conveyor belt all together.
Yeah.
We're doing life as a public TV reality show and adjusting to this all at the same time. So it's what we knew. Yeah. We didn't know anything different, And so if we were therefore going to minister to the people that are in our home, the production team, the assistants, the 30 people that were walking life along the side of us. And not every day was easy. Not every day was perfect. And not every day was easy parenting and filming a TV show.
Yeah.
But this was our testament. This is the life God has put us in. And a lot of people will say, you chose that.
It sounds like it chose you, though.
And I beg to differ with that,
yeah.
because
Sounds like it chose you.
that's the worldview of what you choose. And as a Christian and as someone who likes to see God work in their life, it's really like, but really, did I choose that?
Yeah. Or were
I didn't.
you obedient?
I was being obedient
Yeah.
and feeling like who else has this opportunity. And it's important to something that I've learned along the way is just like have a solid group of foundational like Christians and people that can encourage you and say like, this is not normal.
Yeah.
Like what you're going through is not normal. And I encourage you and and we're going to pray for this. And
you guys had people on your back and like around. You had
your
mentorship
rally,
of people that are like, this is
core people
keeping you guys grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And without that, like I see what the world says about this life and the destruction and the separation. And it's very true. It's very, very true how that takes over, because people get absorbed into the show of
sucked into this whole
media and what does this do for them. But to me, it's not about what does this do for us. It's about who can we do this for and who can see this and who can get something out of this. And that's kind of always been the point. And we've often had to remind ourselves in the hard, like, but it's not about us. Like, in days where, you're in a fight of you're not seeing like the good that you're trying to do. It's not being viewed or it's not being seen that way. There was a fight in me. Like, are we supposed to be still doing this? Because like, this is not what I feel like God wants from us.
You feel like what y'all were trying to minister was getting resistance. It was getting edited.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think with that, though, I don't know if you guys felt this way, and maybe having each other to be like, no, and people rallying you, is that God his word never returns void, right? And so like it was accomplishing things, even if it was ministering to that one cameraman, right? And
or to the one viewer, but
it
wasn't my eyes weren't able to see it that way. And so it took time, it took a lot of prayer, it took a lot of like just like therapy in a way to kind of see like, okay, God doesn't work on my timing.
Yeah.
Like what he's doing is as long as and I keep saying like, I just want to be glorifying the kingdom with the work that we do.
Amen.
And I struggled with that for quite a while. Like, is this glorifying the kingdom? And Adam and I had to see like, wait, we're not seeing it like produce in our vision, but that's not the purpose. Like God is going to use us for his glory. And he never said it was going to be easy. Never said. My whole life, my whole journey. Never said it was going to be easy. But I have found peace as long as I have him in the center.
Yeah.
And that's where we've kind of like when we COVID happened and we kind of stepped back from filming a while.
I was about to ask about how did it transition out? Because I think that, you hear about like, how do you keep following God's will even if it doesn't look like it? And I've always been told and feel like I follow God's peace. Like how do you know it's a peace?
It's right? a peace that you can't explain.
Yeah, you're like, I'm following the peace. If I pray about it, I have a peace about it, it's a yes.
Yeah.
If I don't hear and I don't hear it in my heart. And the same goes for in times where even if I didn't want to leave a season, God's like, it's time.
Yeah.
And it's that I want to follow that peace. Like I am running after that because I know what it's like to not be in his peace. Right. Do you guys feel like that COVID and when you off ramped from the show, was it similar? Where it's like, hey, we now know that it's time.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that we knew it was time. It's just that, the world drastically changed.
Yeah. Like God's like, it's done.
And our world drastically changed in multiple ways. And so it was very beautiful in a way to kind of like, be able to sit at a table with our kids who are still like toddlers, 3-4 years old. And do they sit at the table? No, but to just sit at the table and like have a meal as a family. Sorry, my allergies.
You're totally fine. Yeah.
was beautiful. And it was kind of like, wow, this is what peace is in our life. Like the chaos, even at the dinner table, like trying to make kids sit down.
Yes.
That's what we wanted. We wanted to have life filled with peace and understand like why do we have all these children? What is the purpose of all this?
Yeah.
Why
You're so speaking to me right now.
like why like what is this?
Yeah.
And it's not peace in the moment of chaos, but there was peace in the moment of chaos, right? Because this is what I've always wanted my whole life, was to have a big family. And the journey to get there said I couldn't. But here we are sitting all at a table, and it's like this foreshadow. It's like you think of Jesus like sitting at the table, and here we are sitting at the table. I probably get emotional quite a bit at times, because sometimes this happens where I'm like, wow, God, you're now speaking to me about something else.
Yeah. He's so good. He is so good.
It's beautiful to like see that, and it's something that I grew up experiencing, like family time at the table, and I realized how much over the 10 years, though we never got to sit at the table with our kids because they needed a bottle, they needed this, and we had to feed at this time and feed at this time. So we were kind of getting to that age where it's like we all can sit, no high chairs, none of that, and it was just like
it was a moment for you.
It was a moment. It was a moment.
Yeah. It's
Um,
because
it was a moment.
It's a fulfillment of a promise that you stood on,
Yeah.
and to have those. And I think God is so sweet to give us moments where it's like, you prayed for this. And even days, I don't know for you, but for me, it's like, I've had to repent during times where it's like, I am cursing my blessing. I am cursing the thing that I blessed. And God's like, it's called marriage and family.
Yeah.
You're going to have those days,
Yeah.
but to have moments where it's like, this is, I don't know, it's a moment. So it sounds like this was a moment for you. Like I'm not running around. They're not like in toddlers, and like we're sitting at the table.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
sitting at the table together.
And
that's
that's
a
been
beautiful moment.
Trying to, teach that to your kids too, to also just sit at the table.
Yes. I'm still trying to teach my 4-year-old.
I mean, we
like,
still
stop
are
doing
too.
cartwheels.
It's like, can you just, my grandma used to say, are you taking off on an airplane? Sit your butt down in that chair until we're all done,
Cute.
But we kind of, through that time away from like that norm that we knew of filming and raising in a family of 8, all that was all at the same time. COVID was hard, but it also was beautiful. And I think that's where we find Jesus a lot. Is like when you're in the hard, like I'm a mom. I'm this mom who's like, I'm just living day by day, like go, and like chaos. And that's what it was. And I really didn't process a lot of all that till after they weren't needing to physically be held by me. They're
makes
too
sense.
heavy.
Yeah.
They're too big. They're in school daily and all that. But when we did take a time, we were like, we feel God is saying, I'm not done with y'all yet. I'm not done with y'all in the public eye. We didn't know what that looked like. And that's a whole nother story for another day. But we did come back and said, you know what? I think God just wants us to create a show, whether it's Outdaughtered or not, like this show. And we came back on Outdaughtered, and we had a different perspective, I think, of like what we were wanting to, in our head, we wanted to show just like something a family show could watch, like something a family could watch with their kids. It was perceived to us like in the beginning that like I wanted to like show Jesus, but I struggled because they weren't showing what we wanted to show in a sense. Not that it was bad in every aspect, but our view was if we can show how our family runs, hopefully we're showing Jesus to someone.
Yeah, that's good.
And we just came back and our heads were different, and time off was always needed. Like God gives us rest. He has a Sabbath for a reason. And sometimes that Sabbath for us was like after COVID happened and after everything was changed, like being home with our kids was a Sabbath for us. Like work was different. That was a Sabbath for us. Like rest. Like our marriage needed that.
So
and like,
important.
So we did come back and film like, I don't know.
How much longer before?
2 or 3. It was probably about 3 years of no filming.
Okay.
And then we came back. And
how many more seasons before?
I think we filmed like 3 seasons.
Okay.
if I'm right. We just scheduled it differently. We paced it differently. It was doable. It was more enjoyable. It's still hard.
Yeah.
Filming is a hard world. It's a whole job in itself.
Especially
but
at
it was
the
very
grocery store,
different
yeah.
because the kids weren't home all the time like they previously had been all those years of baby life. And they're at school all day. So
it was a different season for them.
Just a different season of life. So a lot of after hours and whatnot. So
can you talk to me about the season of your life before the girls and walking through infertility? I know that there's a lot of listeners that, and people I know in my life, I have family, I have very close girlfriends that I have walked through infertility with or still am walking through infertility with, and seeing the ups and the downs and the constant holding your breath and then being let down. And then how can I do that again? You know, I was my 6-year-old, I was pregnant with my 6-year-old, and one of my good friends, she's like, I can't go into the store and get another pregnancy test. So I was like, I'll do it. So I went in there and we got a good laugh because I was big and pregnant asking for a pregnancy test, but it mattered to her. You know, it mattered because she's like, so I know there's things that I've heard, and everybody's different, but can you share with me what that season was like walking through infertility?
Man, so our trial started like trying to have our first child. Growing up, and one of the reasons why I fell in love with Adam is that we both had like this just connection of like gift with children, and just like kids would just always like draw to us, and like we enjoyed them. And once I saw that in Adam, I was into like, oh, I'm going to marry this man. And so for growing up our whole life of like having this gift and knowing that like I'm going to marry him, like we are going to have like an amazing family, and like we're both going to be so good at this. And little did we know God had something in store for us. And when we started down that journey of like wanting to have a family, we never ever like, who really thinks you're going to struggle with it? You know, like who really thinks like, oh, that's going to be my story. I didn't know anyone who ever, I knew no one who ever said anything about infertility. I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know what that was going to look like, what that was going to like mentally like do to us and me. And even though my like OBGYN doctor specialized in infertility, it didn't mean anything to me. Like my doctor retired, and he was another one in his practice. And so he split his patients, and this was my new doctor. And it wasn't, I didn't think I would even have to utilize that skill.
Look at God already. You know what I mean? Right.
And so I didn't have to. So that is part of it. That journey was a little bit easier to like, I didn't have to really navigate who do I have to see or whatnot. I was already in my doctor. My doctor already had those gifts, and that was his job and his degree and everything. And so we tried on our own for months and months and months. And, you know, my doctor was like, you know, I'm not going to look at anything until you try on y'all's own for like 9 months to a year of that on your own. And that's exhausting. Exhausting. And meanwhile, you're like...
emotional too, right?
It's emotional because you're like, hold up. Like, why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening?
Yeah.
In the meantime, she's pregnant. She's pregnant. She's pregnant. Your sister's pregnant. Your sister's pregnant. Your sister's...
And then you have to, like, how do you respond to that?
And you're so excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about it. And I love being an aunt. And some of those were before we were even in the trials. And so that desire to have that family and have a child of your own is growing more, because, like, what is something closer to you than your niece or nephew, you know, like that's the closest you're going to get before you have your own. And so just experiencing that, and like, I was in the room with my sisters, even Adam's sisters, like, and my friends, like having babies, and like, that's just like, it's a miracle to watch that and being there. And so walking through the trials of knowing that I can't do that right now, and I'm longing for that. It's a fight.
Did it get to a place where, because I feel like any real struggle of especially an unexpected journey, it gets ugly.
It
It goes
does.
from like, oh, okay, it's fine. Then it's like, it's not fine,
It's not
and now
fine.
I'm angry
It's a
and I'm
job.
angry at
It's
a lot of
it's-
people and I'm questioning things like,
And I'm angry at God.
yeah, angry at God. I'm angry at God. And then is it your fault? Is it my fault? Whose fault is it? And like, if somebody asks me again, that's what I've heard too. Like if somebody asks me again,
Yeah.
right. And all of those things, like, can you walk me through or just touch on like, what was that time like as a woman of faith that knew you knew God as your father, as, your savior, as your friend, but like you're mad at him and things aren't working and you've been given a promise and a desire. And the Bible says, right, our heart's desire, seek first the kingdom, right? And that's hard.
That's hard because
Like walk me through that.
So a lot of my like testimony comes through this first season of infertility and knowing that I am a Christian. I know who Jesus is, and I found the root of Jesus capturing my heart during this time. And so having Blake, God showed me like a lot of what love is and what the father is, of someone who didn't grow up with a father and had a very like I grew up taking care of myself at a really young age, and so I've been very independent. And then the thing of like thinking that I can do this and I can make this happen was a lot of my fight of God saying like, you need to learn to let go, girl. Yeah. Like I will comfort you. I will protect you. Like you don't need to do this for yourself. And even being married for 5+ years and still having a hard time trying to let Adam like care for me. I'm going to do this. Like I'm independent. Like I can do this. And I still am a strong, independent woman. And I want my girls to be strong and independent, have a voice.
Sure.
But I want them to know that like your father loves you. Amen. And will provide for you and take care of you. There's nothing that you can do that he can't. And he will overdo for you. Amen. And I had to walk this season for that. There was a lot of expectations that I had on Adam, and as wanting him to be this father figure when we have kids. And I think God showed me like I need to be a little bit more humble and take away a lot of pride and a lot of expectations, and you need to just let go. And I learned all this through the journey of the waiting. And it's beautiful to see what comes outside of comes on the other side of the hard. And through people who are walking through hard right now, like I really try to speak encouragement to that. Like I know it's hard, but I do believe that beauty is on the other side, and you will come to see that. Just walk hand in hand, be vulnerable, be open. Just don't do this alone. Don't do this alone,
Is there a moment like that you had just a pivotal moment with the Lord, whether it be a time by yourself with him?
Yeah,
that it was
apparently it's really in the car. And I just had one of these recently. I'm like, okay, God, something about you, me, and cars. But I remember we did those. It was test after test. It's negative after negative. We started on the infertility route of I did some testing. Adam did some testing, and this is months and months and years of this. And we started the IUI process, which is uterine insemination. And so
with your for the second.
For your first.
Okay.
For the first. So to have our first child. And, I am like, what the heck is this?
Was that a hard choice?
It is hard. Mm-hmm. It is hard because you're like, okay, God created us and he created life through us, and we are now a marriage, and he has called for us to like create and produce more and grow the population and have children, and it's not happening this way. So is it okay? I ask that a lot. Like, is it okay to try this? Is it okay to seek medical assistance with this? And I struggled with that for a while, but I do know that I feel in my story that it is okay. I know that there's a lot of strife and a lot of like black or white conversation and contradictions through a lot of like infertility treatments, but I feel like God was walking with us every step of the way, and I never felt that we were doing anything outside of his purpose. And though it didn't happen the first couple tries that we did the insemination, this is where I'm taking injections to help me we learned that I don't ovulate regularly. I had PCOS, where I'm constantly having cysts on my ovaries and rupturing and like constant pain. And I remember after that, like fourth or fifth time, the fourth time we did the IUI process, when I'm coming back from appointments, and later that night we were also youth leaders at the time in high school ministry, and that's a whole nother story of like, what are you doing with me in high school ministry? What? But that's his story throughout. He's shining through that story and testing us and showing us that there's also other kids that you could minister to, and it's not always about you. It's not always about you. And I know you're going through things, but I want to use you to speak into this child's life right now and this youth's life right now. And driving home from one day after like a youth night, it was just me in the car, and pulling in the neighborhood. And it was like one of those moments where I'm getting in the garage and I'm just mad. I'm mad because it was a hard day, knowing that like this month we're not going to be pregnant. And I'm mad that I'm being placed in a situation where I'm having to, in the hard that I'm having to be faced with these other youth kids. And it so saddens my heart to hear the parenting that they have, that I just want to be able to take away from them, right? And how is it that these parents had these children and these kids are pregnant, and the stories that I'm hearing, I'm like, I don't understand this. I am a family. I could provide such a life for a kid, and why are we struggling? And hearing all these things, and it's just reminded me that, man, God will do something when he wants to do it. And I just drove back, and I sat there at the red light looking at the moon. It was a full moon that night. And I just was mad. I just started bawling, and I pulled up in our driveway. Adam's at home, and I'm just like, I am just mad. I'm yelling. I'm screaming. I'm like, what do you want from me? Like, that was the question. What do you want from me? And I didn't know what that was, but that was my moment of like, cry out, like, I cannot walk like this, and I don't want to do this anymore. And if we are not going to have children, then you need to change the desire of my heart. And that moment was real. It was raw. There was a time that, going through these processes of infertility and IUI, you're very schedule oriented. You have to do this. You need to check this. You have to, even constantly, having intercourse with your husband on certain days, and taking shots certain days, and temperatures, and like all these things. And it just was not fun. Yeah. It was not what I think he wanted it to be. Sure. As far as creation. It was conversations of like, is it my fault, your fault? I know what I'm struggling with. He's struggling with something, but we're also don't know how to even communicate about what we're both going through. Yeah. And we don't know anyone who is. And so we're walking in this alone, but together, but alone. And when we tried to talk about it, it's upsetting our hearts, but it's kind of like we're fighting in a sense, but we don't want to fight with each other, sure. But we're fighting. Yeah. So then I started fighting with God. And so I'm like, come on,
you're next.
And he knows I like to fight. Like I'm going to fight. So I had that moment. And I think that next day I woke up, and without knowing, it was just like, okay, in a sense, it brought a peace that I didn't know.
Because you showed the heart. You showed God your heart.
Right.
You were intimate enough to say, I am angry at you.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like that's
Yeah.
like, baby, I already know it's in there.
Yeah. Just tell me.
Just tell me.
Like, you need to know
you need
that
to
there
hear
is
yourself say that.
And it's
You
something
need
that
to
I
lament.
didn't
Yeah.
know growing up with, like how to express your hurt, how to express your pain,
Yeah.
your emotions. And I think what he was showing me was that, like, I'm here and I'm not going to leave. So you cry out to me and I'm going to comfort you. And like literally what happened next was that, like, waking up that next day, it just was like that never even happened. Like, that emotion never happened. And it was like, we're just going to take a break from this and we're just going to like reconnect. We don't want to be like this in our marriage. We don't want to like be struggling in a way of like, do I like you today? Do we need to have sex today? Do we want to? Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I'll have sex, but it is.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
We didn't want to, but because it was work, it was a job, and it
changed
wasn't
the dynamic of it probably.
So, it's not intimate anymore.
Sure.
It's just a task, and so we stepped away from that and just took a break and just kind of reconnected and just involved ourselves more in the youth and summer camp with the kids and just forgetting about it. We didn't stop being a husband and wife and having time together and dates and all that. And I don't know. I think someone do the math of like when I got pregnant, but it must have been like September, October, whatever that 9 months from April is.
I'm not good with math. I can't help you there.
But it was after we came back from youth camp with kids. That was our first youth camp, and came back, and we just, Holy Spirit just took over, and you just see the light of so much joy, and the Spirit walking through, and like kids getting saved, and it's just like it was just beautiful. It just captured our hearts. It like took us away from like what our struggles and worries were, and like the need of like God showed us like how much more that even if you have your own kids, like you can mentor to them, but you also can mentor to other people in your life and like even other kids. And that was something that spoke to me in that time. And I don't know, I just woke up one day and I just said, hey, I think we should try. I think this is the month that we're going to get pregnant. And I'm like, okay. And so it, just so happened that was the month that we started that journey. And we got pregnant that month. And so God was working within there. He showed me who God the Father is. I needed to let go of a lot of, and learn how to not do things on my own and not do things by myself, even though I wasn't by myself. In theory, I had a husband, but there was a lot of things that I had to learn how to trust and do together and walk life together. Yes, we've been married for 5 years, but if you're going to start a family, like you have to learn that your heart needs to be a little bit softer, and you need to do this with your spouse. You need to do this with the father of your children. And you're good. And so he needed, so when I asked him, what do you want from me? He wanted me to be his child. He wanted me to know that I was his child, and he was my father, and that like, I'm never going to be without that. And something that I had always felt growing up or walking, I never had that experience, right? Sure. I never felt like I was deprived growing up, but I had a grandfather who was like a father to us, and our uncles who was like a father to us, but it's very different. It's a very different comfort and protection level that he showed me that I needed to accept from him.
He created and burned in you a daughtership.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
You understood daughtership.
Yep.
And that you could take to your father any emotion, all the uglies, and he's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yep.
I'm not, just let me know all your woes, and I'm safe and I'm steady. So you guys have your first beautiful daughter, and then continued afterward to walk through fertility treatments and decide to get pregnant again.
So whenever we had Blake, it was like just the biggest blessing, like just the beauty of God. And like, she's been an amazing child. It's like, my sisters are having their second one. His sisters are having more. My best friends around me are having more. And that desire in my heart started to change of, wow, I think I want to have more children. And wow, how, like Adam, and how are we going to do this? And he's like, well, it took us a lot longer to kind of like approach that process because we knew how hard it was going to be. And we didn't know if we were ready to step down that line again of infertility. And so I think it went about a year before we said, okay, like, let's do this. Let's try this.
How long did it take once y'all started trying?
We went and started on the same process as we got pregnant with Blake. That first month, we did an IUI. Throughout this time of like a year of like praying, like, okay, God, like, we have a desire. Like, is this our desire? Is this your desire? Like, how do we do this? How do we ask? Because you already gave us what we asked for. How do we ask for more? And a lot of those prayers were, God, if this is what you want for us, can it please not be hard? Like, really, as simple as that. Like, can you please not make it hard? Yes. Can you please make it like less infertility? Yeah. Can it just happen naturally without help, without assistance?
And did that happen?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It did. When we went and told my doctor, like, okay, I think we want to try. He says, I think we want to try again. But he's like, okay, well, let's just go ahead and like test. Let's test levels and see where everybody's at, see where you are in a cycle, wherever your cycle might be. And so we went and, I mean, I happened to be like right on point to like kind of start the process again of like in my cycle. And Adam was like just, I don't know if you want to say like completely healthy when it comes to lines of all the things that he had to do to have Blake. He was completely fine. Like, he didn't have to do anything. It was just, you're good, bro. You're good. You're good. Just let's do this.
So y'all started, yeah.
We tried that first month and felt like that was an answered prayer. Financially too, of like going down the route with like his doctor that he needed to see and like his urologist and like all those tests that he has to do. It was expensive and it was draining, and that's a whole nother subject of like going into debt over certain things and like what does that look like? How do you handle that? And but we saw that as an answered prayer. Like, that was one of the answered prayers. That first month we had that cycle, we did it and it did not work. And then it's like, whoa. Then you start questioning. You try so hard not to question and not to say, whoa, God, like, all those emotions, all those triggers, all those thoughts come back, like how hard it was. What is this going to do to us? Do we want to do this again? Do we just want to be content with one child? But that desire's like, it's burning inside, like, and so I had another one of those pivotal car moments, and where I'm just like in agony. I'm just like, I don't understand why Adam and I have to go through this. I don't understand why we have to go through such a hard time to have a child. For people who we know of ourselves in our livelihood, in our community, like, we will raise this child to grow and love you, Lord. Like, we want to grow our family. Why is this so hard? And I remember in the car, another one of those car moments where I'm just like, the first time I was in the car with God, I asked, what do you want from me? And this time it's like, what more do I have to give? And I just said, like, I'm crying out, like, you have my heart. Like, I've been baptized and like, I am yours, but like, I don't have anything else to give you. Like, what am I supposed to do now? And, I think what he was telling me was like, you're still trying to say you can do this. And, when we got the second time we got pregnant, the second try we got pregnant, and it was just very like, we're not going to stress about it. We're not going to like think too much about it
Did y'all
because we
not tell
knew.
anybody? Because I know a lot of times with my friends that have had struggle with infertility, they will not share it.
That's how our first cycle was, because we didn't.
Like, you're
we
not
didn't.
gonna,
Nobody
not sharing.
knew, because we
Yes.
didn't
Okay.
talk about it with anyone, because
Yeah.
we didn't know anyone. It was kind of humiliating and embarrassing in a way. But
This
the second
time-
time around, like, we had already had like conversations with people in our small group and prayer
Okay.
life, like,
So people were keeping you guys
and
lifted
people,
in prayer.
we
and
were more
listening.
open to seeing like what our journey was to have Blake, and being in conversations and encouraging people over time, like with infertility, and like conversations of like what this looks like and how to, pray about this, and praying for people during that cycle. So first time we were lonely in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
After we had Blake, we were used to kind of encourage people and place with people to encourage and talk about infertility. This time, we were already having, before we even started the first one, it's like, okay, let's get our people together. Let's pray about this.
Okay,
and
yeah.
it didn't happen the first time. The second trial, second month came around when we tried, and we did find out we were pregnant. Go to do like the ultrasound, and there's like nothing there. And we're like, okay, God, like go do more blood work. Blood work's constantly increasing. It's showing that I'm pregnant. And doing what it's supposed to do. These levels are increasing and tripling and all this stuff. But why don't we see anything? And so then you're like, what does this mean, God? Like, it's just if you gotta remain strong in your faith and let your heart be the one controlling you, not your head, because your head is what's going to tell you you're not going to make this. There's no baby. This is false. This is a false pregnancy. It's going to be a miscarriage. Like all those things start to come in your head and stuff. But I kept saying like, no, like I feel this. Like I know I'm pregnant. Why don't we see it? And that ultrasound came around, and the doctor's like, it could be a ectopic pregnancy. It could be in the tubes. It could just be too early. So more blood work. Let's come back in 10 days. We'll do another blood work, another ultrasound. And so we did another ultrasound. And in that time, we finally saw like the sac with the little circle, with the little white thing in it. And you're like, you confirmed pregnancy. Praise the Lord. Like you are pregnant. We see something. And so that was kind of like thank you, Lord. We finally saw we are pregnant. We can see it. And doctor, ultrasound. My doctor did all my ultrasounds in the infertility, and that's what he does. Like he did all my ultrasounds. Saw some other spots. There was nothing outside of the norm that I did to get pregnant with this one, or anything that he's doing. Looking at my ovaries, looking for cysts, looking for like anything outside the norm. Nothing. There was nothing normal.
This sounds like Elijah, like looking for the rain. This reminds me of like, he's like, go out and keep looking.
Yeah.
Like, right. And like, that's what I keep thinking. I'm like, it's like you finally are getting the promise, like all the years of no rain. And it's like, no, go out there and look again. Like go out there and look again. Mm-hmm. So this is the pregnancy with your quints. Like this is.
Yep. So we saw that. There's a couple other spots that look black. That just look like fluid, which I've seen countless times.
Yeah.
I've never produced into follicles or eggs or anything, and nothing. It's never done that. And we go back a couple weeks later, probably 2 weeks later, and do another ultrasound, check on things. And at this point, I'm probably like 10 weeks, maybe like 9 or 10 weeks pregnant. And we get in there, and we saw the heartbeat of the one that we found the last time. We saw a heartbeat, and those, as the doctor's browsing around, those spots were now babies. So those fluids, it just, whether how the ultrasound was looked at, whether it was God's purpose, like whatever it might have been,
So
we now see and hear and saw 4 heartbeats that day, which was overwhelming.
what did you do? Did you like fall? I bet y'all like fell out.
I mean, I'm laying like back on like the chair,
Gosh.
and Adam is sitting with us.
Like ugly crying, laughing, ugly crying.
I didn't cry at all. I didn't cry at all. Like Adam dropped his coffee, about passed out everywhere. I'm laughing, and this is where I say God has humor. And I'm
so
like,
cool.
yeah.
What is this? I'm telling you, when I hear stories like this, I'm like, God is just, love this.
Yeah,
stuff.
it
I live
literally,
for it.
I literally love talking about this because I sometimes I forget often, like,
we all,
you carried quintuplets. I'm like, that is weird. That's crazy. But I laughed at it. I laughed at it for a while.
Oh my gosh.
I just thought, wow, God, you're funny. Like, you always knew I wanted a big family, but all at once, that's hilarious,
Man.
But I come from a family of multiples. My sisters are twins. My mom's mom, my grandma had twins and triplets. And so it's in my blood. But it actually happened to me and like actually be pregnant with quadruplets, hear 4 heartbeats, see 4 heartbeats, you're like, wow, this is real. That appointment turned into just like
mixed emotions, I'm sure, right? A lot of different emotions.
Or right then and there, it was overwhelming. Okay. I was overwhelmed with a sense of like joy and seeing like God's humor in it. Adam is overwhelmed with what the heck is happening. The doctor is overwhelmed. A lot
of babies in there.
The doctor is overwhelmed with. Literally, he's looking at everything. He's looking at like my chart from when I started seeing him years and years ago, and all the trials of like what it was to get pregnant. Like I didn't even release or produce enough eggs for this, and like it's God, and so
praise God.
That appointment turned into like, this is very hard. This is going to be very scary. More than likely, you will not see this many babies the next time we meet.
Immediately went into that. Immediately started talking about
immediately
that.
Like
talk about feeling like the rug, like I don't even know how my mind can. It's like a jet when you hear the sound and then it's like not in sync.
Yeah, and it's like
it's a lot of things happening.
It took me about 2 weeks until we went and saw him again to really kind of process like what he was really saying, because to me, I left there and for a good week, I'm just like excited. Yes. I'm pregnant and I'm like, holy cow. And I'm not really thinking of like what's really the reality of it. And I'm just kind of soaking in like I'm pregnant. Like this is what I've prayed for.
Sure.
And whenever he told us that day, like, they're really, at this point, they're really fighting. They're really fighting to survive. Like, you're very petite. Like, it takes a lot to make these babies survive. Like, as far as nutrition, you need to see a dietitian. And, like, we need to get you on this diet. You really are going to have to think about selective reduction. And
can you explain what that is?
Yes. This was the first time I had heard it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's that? And he's like, you're really going to think about, for the health of you and or the health of surviving children, you're going to have to think about selective reduction, which means out of the 4, you need to select 2 of them to abort so that the chance of less medical issues and survival for you and them, and for if you have twins, that they won't have, that their livelihood would be more healthy. And it's like,
my stomach like drops when you say that.
And I'm like, so that day was, at that moment, I'm like, yeah, whatever you're saying, that's not happening.
Yeah.
That's literally how I took it. And I'm like, I'm pregnant. This is a miracle. Like, I know what you're saying and I know you have to tell me, but I don't like what you're saying. So I kind of ignored it and was like, I would never do that. Like,
yeah,
kind of being a little bit like, you're funny. I know you have to tell me that, but that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I left it at. And so it was just hard. I think we left that appointment, the families are in shock. They're like, seeing the reality of like, holy cow, like this is scary.
Or like they're worried.
They're worried.
Yeah.
Adam's worried. I mean, I'm worried in a sense,
Sure.
but I'm not worried at that point.
You think you're not worried because of your faith? Like because you know that God's like, this is God's provision?
I think I was not worried because in that moment, all the times that I can talk about like peace, in that moment, I just felt like it was real. Like it was real and like I needed to enjoy this. I needed to like accept like God's also has blessed me and also answered my prayer right now. Like, this is a blessing, whether whatever happens, therefore, like going on, like, I don't know, but right now, like, I'm just happy. Like, whatever the outcome is going to be, like, I am happy I'm pregnant. Like, and that's what I received in that moment. Like, all this noise and all this hard and all this isn't going to be true and you can't do this. Like, yes, it's hard, but like, it wasn't hitting behind the joy that God had given me like that day. Yeah. And I saw 4 heartbeats and I heard 4 heartbeats, and that's what I was going with. And, you know, over the next 2 weeks until we went and saw him again, we knew that his biggest response back to us was, when we come back, you're not going to see 4 babies. So I need you to prepare yourself that the livelihood of them fighting at this early stage of life is, or conception and like trying to like survive, is little to none. Like, you might come back and see 1. You might come back and see none because they don't have enough. You are not able to provide them enough to survive. And so therefore, the prayer, when we're talking to our friends in our church and our community group and our family, and it's just like, you know, above all, God, like, one thing I could never do is select and say which of the 2 that the doctor recommends out of the healthy and safety of me as his patient, but also these babies to have a healthy, like disability. He wants me to reduce to twins. Singleton would be best, but twins at the most. So looking at for them, and how do you do that? How do you say this one's better than that one?
I love 2 things. I love that unlike what I think it's a natural reaction of infertility is to isolate, and to the fear of getting your hopes up is to not share, or to be really selective on who you're sharing. Is you guys did the opposite, and you guys were saying, no, we're going to stay in community. We're going to let people in and not feel the pressure of how it's going to turn out. We need your prayers. I absolutely love that. And the other thing I love is that because of your faith, I mean, I don't know about you, but like my parents' generation, my mom's generations, like medical advice was like God. I mean, you never questioned a doctor. You never, like, that is true.
They know.
And for you to have the faith to even be able to say, I don't question that. Like, that's not 100% reality to me, right? Which is not, a lot of women don't have that. Yeah,
and I think that behind me, I was scared because I was a mom.
Yeah.
I was a mom. I was, I had Blake. Like, what was the outcome of this and what was it going to be? It's like, I could let all those what ifs like take over my head, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't allow all the negative to constantly feed into me. Even in this holds strong till today is like those who have a heart for Jesus and can walk life with you and encourage you, even if you're going to step into something hard, and still be there with you today. That is your community. That is your people, because people have fallen out the tracks that didn't believe me, that didn't trust in God, and didn't trust that I would survive, and were just mad or frustrated with the fact that I would do this, that I would accept this in my life and do this to my child, to my husband. And it's like, I just disagree with that, because like, I don't think that that is how God wanted me to take this. And
so you go back, and all of this, week or 2 later, and what do you find?
We just prayed for God's will to be done. God, we saw and heard 4 heartbeats. If your will is to have them survive, we're going to do this. If your will is, when we get there, that only 2 are there, then it's your will that they did not survive, and those are your children, And one day we hope to meet them, and again in heaven, and that is what we prayed. Like, your will be done. It's either 4 or none or 2, like whatever it is. We knew when we go to that appointment, we would either see 4 or none, anywhere less than.
And what did you see?
And when we got there, that's where our heads were. Like, we are praying for 4 because we saw and heard 4 heartbeats, but we're accepting God's will. If something were to happen, that it would have happened already at that point, you know. And when we got to the appointment, ultrasound, they were all like vaginal ultrasounds, which look a little bit different than like above the belly. And so the first like sac that we see was 2 babies in there, like visually. So it's there's a TV over here, like I'm laying down, doctor's here, there's a TV for me to see, and there's a big screen over here for like Adam to see. And at this appointment, Blake is with us, our 3-year-old, because we went early before his office opened, because we knew it would take a while. And her doctor's office, like her like daycare didn't open up yet. And so we're like, we'll just take her with us. And so she has no idea what's going on.
Sure.
But so he's, you know, like the ultrasound's there, and he's kind of like still kind of like working on the machine. And we can clearly see, it was like bright as day. Like I know purposefully God wanted that one for us to see first. And I look at that and I'm like, that's 2 in there. Like this is, and I'm like, and I look at Adam and he's like, and then the doctor looks up and like instantly kind of like moves the ultrasound on. And I think he freaked out. But I was like, I saw that. And so he quickly like restarts over and just browses over everything real quick, because what we visibly saw was that one sac had identical twins. And he was looking to see if any of the other ones had the same, but they didn't. And so I think that was God showing us, once again, his humor, and saying, you thought there was going to be 4, but guess what? I can go above and beyond something you never imagined, I will still show you how big I am. And
I would see him like in heaven, like they're laughing, like a great cloud of witnesses. Just like, this is like, that's entertainment. Like they're eating popcorn. Like, just like, this is,
you think you're going to see
these are my
4
kids.
or none.
This is faith, you know, and this is, and not that infertility and it not turning out this way is not faith, but I just love when God shows off like that. I just do. And how it ministered to that physician, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you
so
too.
That,
Y'all
I mean,
too.
it did. And then that appointment then led into like the real seriousness of what's going to happen. And
you guys, I'm sure immediately took it off the table. There is no selective reduction. We're going forward.
So here's the thing. The hard part is that, you know, I saw our head and our heart were still aligned. Like this is not something we're going to do. And we told him like, we're not going to reduce. Like I could never do that. And I don't want to make that decision. And I could never make that decision. So this is what we're going to do. And he's like, well, you will have to go see a specialist, doctor, maternal fetal specialist. And I need you to at least go see him. And you have to intake all the knowledge and all the things and the possibilities of the science of everything and what can go wrong, and he will go over everything for you, but you need to go see him. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, but please go see him regardless. He's not delivering my babies. Like, you have to go see a maternal fetal specialist. Someone, you have a high risk pregnancy, just having a high risk pregnancy, you need to go see him. So, you know, family once again can't believe that there's 5. They thought it was a joke, because that's my husband's humor, that they thought we were joking. And so, yeah, that appointment comes up, and, you know, I had never been phased with any kind of like doctor like this. And we're sitting there waiting in the doctor's office for like hours, because it's crazy in there. Like, there's a bunch of specialist pregnancies, and I get in there, and he walks in and he does all the things that he needs to, and he just like hits me with like all the negative, like even more so harder than what my doctor was telling me. And it was just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like disgusting in a way. And I didn't, because he's telling me all these things, I was just, didn't like him.
Yeah.
And I would say that I really haven't got grasped like why I felt that way about him, but I just did not connect with him and I didn't like him. And it's probably because of all the things that he was telling me.
Yeah. Which was very much a spirit of death.
Yeah. And I just
of dark death and
didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so we left that appointment and I'm just fighting. I'm fighting. This was the first time that I felt like this spiritual, like attack, like spiritual, like warfare of like, it just started to hit me in the car. Adam and I are driving, God loves me in the car. We're driving back from our downtown and we live, in the medical center and we live in League City. And so, you've got like on a good day, a 35-minute drive. So we get in the car and it's just, you just feel it. This is just heavy. And I mean, we know where our stance is, but we are just weighted. I'm feeling conflicted. I'm feeling scared. All these things just start to attack me. And we are like kind of fighting with each other, but over what we know we don't want to happen and we know it's not going to happen. But this is the first time I ever felt like the enemy really trying to just destroy my heart. And I did not like that. And we were families, of course, like texting us and Adam's driving and I'm sitting in the passenger seat and like we're calling family, we're telling them, and we called his mom and dad, and his dad is full of spiritual wisdom, and he just prayed for us over the phone as we're driving down 45. And after that, we just sat in silence in the car, and it was just a peace that came over us awesome. In silence. And by the time we got home, and we just were like, yeah, I mean, it just like, it's literally, I mean, if I can envision it, it's like God just flying over and just like taking that away out of us. And
it lifted.
It just lifted and just, I mean, the enemy was gone. And that heaviness was just like you could breathe, like it's the peace that was, it's just so hard to explain because I've experienced this peace 3 times in my life. And it's like just, it's uplifted from you and you can breathe just like it's a presence. It's not that anything changed. It's not that our decision was different or the outcome was going to be different. Sure. The outcome was still weighted. It was still life or death or life, risk to risk. Like it's still always the same, but it's like God was just there. He was just there. And I talk about this, and I've been doing a lot of writing. And I just talk about it's not about that the outcome changed or a decision changed, but it's about a peace where we were just being like, God's presence was there and he was just like holding us. He was just there. Yeah. And we went to that follow-up appointment, and my doctor encouraged me to, because I called him and I said, I don't want to see him again, this new maternal specialist. And I said, I didn't like him. I didn't connect with him. I didn't want to see him again. And he said, please, this is in your case, this is who you need to see. And if you don't, like, please go see him again. If you don't, I will find you another doctor. And so already doing my own research, like talking to other doctors. And he was like, please just go give him another try. And I did. We did, and I was kind of like going in there, like I
already know what I'm.
I already know what we're doing, and knowing just like his demeanor and how he was prior to, never even gave him a second doubt of like maybe he was just having an off day, or he had a bad day, or something went wrong in his life that day that he's still having. Didn't think about him at all. Yeah. Just like, I don't like you. But we went in there and he just said, walked through the door, and I remember this day, and he so vividly, and he's like, "All right, Miss Busby, what are we doing?" And I said, we're doing this. We're not reducing. And he says, kind of just like smile on his face, like, "All right, we're having babies. Let's do this." And it was just like a holy change. I mean, it was just.
Isn't that so cool though? Because we're not one dimensional. I think we're all obviously multidimensional, and our stories are not. We have the villain and the hero. Like God's the hero. It's His story, and we all. It's moving and shaping, and bad days and things may be operating, then darkness trying to speak in that day. And so I love that it was the same doctor.
Yeah.
I love that God wasn't like, here's a cookie cutter story, like, a childhood story. Here's the bad guy and here's the good guy. Like, no, we're all a little bit of everything, and it's just a mess. Yeah. But we're going to continue to use this doctor.
Yeah. And I mean, I really used him through my whole, he was my doctor, and we still occasionally visit and see this doctor because I just love this old man, and the amazement that he has had over how is this possible, and the story of but God, and because of God is bigger than even what your medical head can tell you. Like, God is bigger, because I should not have survived. I should not have 5 healthy quintuplets who, can see, who can hear, who can walk, who can
play, run,
who can be normal little children. I mean, I remember in that first year and 2 years, he would come over and he would just sit there and just, "Danielle, this doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
How is it that babies born at this," because we had them at 28 weeks and 2 days, "are this healthy or just this normal?" And I'm like, that's what I love to tell you, is that because God's been all over this, and He has been guiding this whole story, and He can see past. And just like that's always been part of it. Like, God, hopefully as I look back, maybe not so much in the moment, because it was overwhelming walking through, like, having to be pregnant with this and that be this story. I think a lot of times we look back and see, like, man, I hope I was being used through all that and being a testament to someone, like showing them, like, how I got through that. Like, but how I got through that, like, in the moment. Like, was I really being used? Was I really speaking to people? Was I really, like, encouraging? Or did something I do, or something God did through me, is what I'm meaning, to other people, to my doctor, through the ultrasound people, through all the medical people that came around in our life. Like, I just hope that they too saw God, and saw that, like, He can move bigger than what they can even medically plan for,
Yeah. It sounds like it's like a walking testimony. Yeah. And I love the transparency that you have, that you're not acting like super Christian, where you don't have all the gamut of emotions that are expected. And I think that speaks a better word to people when they see you in all of those things and you're still showing Jesus.
I mean, I didn't stop. I never stopped pursuing, I never stopped my faith by any means, but I also never stopped pursuing knowledge, and growing in my faith, but knowledge in what are possibilities that I need to look forward to, like in the NICU. What are things that I could expect, and growing, and I never sought, Google for my answers. But I always sought someone who could give me rawness, and can I meet that doctor? Can I meet one of those nurses and have questions? Can I ask them questions? Someone who works actually in the NICU, someone who does this, someone who does that. Yeah. And it was a blessing that at 25 weeks, for my 25-week appointment, I saw my doctor every week for ultrasounds, which took about 3 to 4 hours. And because it was getting really hard to make sure the babies were staying healthy, because I couldn't lay down for more than like 5 minutes at a time because I couldn't breathe. And so moving and starting over was really hard. And so he says, I really would like for you to come stay at the hospital so we can do heart rate monitors, like daily, and ultrasounds once a week still, but like monitor you daily. It gave me an opportunity to really get to meet and see and talk to a lot of people that were going to be working within what I was going to be providing. I'm about to provide you a bunch of premature babies, and the goal was to get to 28 weeks, and I got to 28 week in 2 days. And so I just had a lot of opportunity to like say, like, what does that mean? And I was like, who was on shift on their lunch break? Can you go ask them if they would come to me? Actually, I will go down into their lunch break and talk with them.
Yeah.
And so I used a lot of that time to be to try to fill my head too with wisdom of like, what is this? What is that?
Yeah.
Asking doctors and nurses like hard questions. And
sounds like creating a community within the setting of the hospital and preparing delivery.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And I wanted to. And so I took a lot of that time to be fortunate enough, though it wasn't fun, to be isolated from like Adam and Blake, him having to be a solo parent at home because we have a 3-year-old, and doing that and me up at the hospital. And I mean, I'd have a visitor here and there, but you know, it's different. It's different to be away from your family, and there's families up there that are doing this that don't even live here, you know? And so trying to find entertainment and not be like dreading you're in the hospital all this time, but that goes along with the NICU. But like I said, it was something I didn't want to do, being in the hospital, but I also am very thankful that I had the opportunity to be there, like antepartum, because it helped me absorb a lot of knowledge and like being able to communicate a lot with these people and people
you
who
didn't have blind faith. You were really wanting to become educated and still holding on to what you know is true.
And I am a huge advocate for moms speaking up for, if you feel uncomfortable, you speak up for your child and for you. If you don't like something, if it feels off, if you don't like this nurse, if that person made you feel uncomfortable, if you didn't like, you speak. You speak, because you have the right to ask for another nurse, put a different doctor in place, because I've seen bad things happen and sad things happen if you don't speak up. And so,
what I also notice about you speak up, and God has used your platform. I want to talk a little bit about, you had a recent post, and a friend of mine shared, my friend of mine shared, I one of the things I really wanted to hit on too about your journey, because that's another unexpected journey. So you posted, I thought was a beautiful post of reflection and talking about, the selective reduction and finding yourself with a lot of backlash. How were you able to find God in that? Because I'm sure the rejection and the responses, can't even imagine. And how did you find God in there to come back and speak out with the voice that He gave you?
It's tough, but I'm often reminded that I've gotten in trouble for my open mouth a lot of times, and even as younger, like I don't know, I think I've always felt comfortable speaking up and being growing up independent quite a bit, and learning that if I don't say something, it could cause something bad or a hurt in some way for me or someone else. And I think I've always felt comfortable, but I also learned that I'm a processor, so I have to verbalize and I have to hear myself talk to understand. And I learned that as I grew stronger in my walk with Christ, the power that He has given me to speak, which I feel like I'm a horrible speaker. I'm a horrible writer. Nothing's ever proper. Nothing's ever right. I make up my own words. Adam says all the time. I don't use punctuation right.
I don't even know.
I'm like,
I always tell my kids, I was in the spelling bee in second grade. They're like, great, but we don't even know what you're writing. Like, I promise. Yeah, so I totally feel you.
But I try to be like, but that's what you get out with me. It's like I just say stuff, and I just speak what I know, and I speak what my heart says, and I pray that it comes out received correctly. But I do feel that over time, it's taken me a lot of time to be able to process what I have gone through
from the post, from when you posting.
I mean, it's happened a couple of times, but it took me quite a while to understand what I have gone through, and then being able to really communicate it and feel like I'm a fighter. And I think God knew that when he created me to have this life, and he knew that I love a challenge. And if someone wants to challenge me for something, I'm going to be like, okay, let's go. But I also know that God also tells us to be slow and to guide your tongue and watch what you say. And so that comes back with how far do you go with someone comes after you. And so I like to protect it, but I also don't like it to end where they win.
Yeah. I will get the last word.
And my husband's the same, Adam's the same way. Like, he will fight and he will keep going. So I'm like, whoa, that's enough now. You know? It's hard to say all the things I want to say to someone and them receive it in a way that is meant to be received, because I can't control how they receive it. I pray the Holy Spirit touches them in that moment.
Sure. And
something can connect. But when you look at social media and you look at how you post, it's perceived more negative than positive amongst anything that you could ever say. If nothing is even negative, someone's going to see negative out of it. Yeah. So I see that with everything. The world view on that is going to take something good and turn it into negative, no matter what. So no matter if I feel like sharing something as simple as a heartfelt moment, or a smile of a kid, or something I did good, or something just something joyful, someone sees
it's negative.
It's negative in some way. So for those that didn't know about your post or don't know what I'm talking about, you posted something because you stand for life. You stand for the sanctity of life. And I think you had attended some type of a fundraiser. And again, it was to me, it was poised. It was just a reflective post saying, hey, I'm looking back now, my 5 beautiful, healthy children. At the time, this is what the medical profession was telling me to do. And I can't believe, I couldn't imagine. Yeah. And so as a Christian, it's polarizing within even, unfortunately, the Christian community when we talk about the sanctity of, and I'm post-abortive, so my side is a side of certainly not a harshness. It's truth and love, because I've walked through it. And so I absolutely am hypersensitive to when Christians talk about the sanctity of life in a posture of hate and self-righteousness. And I didn't see that in what you posted. I saw a mother that had gone through a heck of a journey and was having a moment and just sharing and reflecting. Rejection is real. Rejection happens to all of us, and it can take us down. Even if you don't have the fear of man, even if you think you're healed from rejection, it can rear its ugly head. Talk to me, because I have a couple more questions for you. Talk to me before we switch gears. What was it like being, humbled with some of these responses, and then having to sit in that moment of, okay, I have a platform, and I'm gonna choose to speak life even in a culture now that whatever that looks like. Right. Yeah. Can you talk to me briefly about that? Yeah. That post was something I had been dying to do for a really long time. And I after that event, I've been to lots of events revolving around, pregnancy centers and galas and pro-life. And a lot of that post hatred came from because I am a woman, and I am a woman of girls, and that they don't want to get like you tell me to stop or get off beat, and like we'll change subject or whatever. But a lot of that is my faith. No matter what, my faith still wins. Okay, I am a strong woman. I want to raise strong children.
Amen.
I am strong in my faith, and I want my faith to remain strong. Just because someone doesn't agree with what I agree in doesn't mean I have to hate them. That's kind of what you're saying. Like, I don't have to go with hatred. I wasn't being hateful. I wasn't being mean. I wasn't shunning anyone. I'm just giving you my story, a piece of what I've experienced in my life, a piece of the value of what I've seen when you trust in something bigger than what the world and what this one aspect says. Take your options. Look at everything that you're saying. This doctor, but what does your heart say? What does your heart say? Because I know when God created life in conception, whether in whatever scenario it was, and you're scared, I don't agree that abortion is the answer.
Yeah.
I believe that God is bigger. And if you walk through that, God, and you can see, and you have faith, and you can, this is faith driven, and say, God, I trust in you. Take over my life. I can't do this pregnancy, or I can't do this life. Please come in my life and take over and guide me through this. He will never fail you. And no matter what scenario that will be. And I speak that I've never had an abortion. I've never done that, but I've been placed in a scenario where I've been told multiple times, you will not survive. You will not survive this. You will not survive this. You will not survive it. They will not survive this. They will not survive this. And I just say that I was at a life to life scenario. If I choose to selectively reduce, and even in abortion today, you as the mom, you as a woman are still testing your life. You still too may not survive. Yep. This is a medical procedure that you too might not survive. Just like anyone else who's going to go through a surgery of some sort, there is an option that you might not survive. So whenever we are looking at selective reduction, in my case, it was quintuplets in me. So you're talking about 6 lives, okay? We could all not survive. I might not survive. And it's just where my heart told me more that you are not more important than them. So give them this life. And if God is to take it, your life, he will take it at his timing. Yeah. And whether it be my life or one of theirs, And I feel firm in that because I've also walked life with people who've lost their children. And seeing how they have walked through that on a spiritual level of knowing that, like, I'm so blessed to have life that I had with them, the little 3 years that I've had with them. And God took them from me. And I'm going to hurt. And that's okay. Like, we can hurt.
But it's worth it.
Yeah. And you're going to suffer. You're going to have pain, like all that. And I need to learn how to capture my words better on how to say all that. But I just, like, God is bigger, and he is a God that I never knew could provide so much as God the Father, as God the Holy Spirit, God that brings peace, God that brings security, God that provides as financially needs, like everything, he has been there. And I want people to know that. I want women to know that. Like, if you are scared, I was too. I was never not scared. There's still trials today that I face that I'm scared with, but I put that hardship in his hands and say, God, guide me. Like take out these, weed all this out for me, weed all the negative out, like guide me down this path, show your faithfulness to me, show your path to me, because I still pray that today. Yeah. But
that's what is, as a post-abortive woman, I want to say that you say, you've said it several times, like maybe the words I'm saying and the way why I'm articulating, but the fact that you have God has given you a platform to be an influencer and to say to in a platform that most women can't, choose life. It'll be hard. I don't care what words come out. It's the right word. So thank you for that. I have one last question for you. It's been so awesome getting to know you. I want just to end. Share with me what you would tell the woman right now walking through infertility. What is something you want her to know?
I mean, as simple as this is, it is, you're not alone. Like, you're not alone. As lonely as you feel, there's a God that is there for you, to comfort you, to give you the desires of your heart. And I think that, I prayed too in those loneliness phase that, like, God, if these are not your desires in my heart, take these desires away from me, or change these desires to what they are meant to be fulfilled. And then on the other side, it's like, if there's something that you need tangible to like read or speak into someone, like, there are podcasts, so many podcasts. There's community support groups. There is Facebook groups, people who are walking life with you, and we're not meant to do this alone. And so there are support groups, there are community of people struggling with infertility that can speak into life in you and walk the same trials with you, because, and can pray with you. And I didn't have that. Because I didn't know that. And someone who's walked through that and kind of seeing who God has placed in my life through that time, and not being able to talk about it with, going through infertility the first time to then facing it the second time. What a difference it is. What a difference it is to have a support group around you. It's still hard, but it can be different. And that's just what I'd say, is that as much as you feel isolated and alone, you're not alone. You're not alone.
Thank you so very much, Danielle. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope that it's called you to action, called you to seek healing, and most importantly, called you closer to the heart of the Father. If you want to learn more about today's guest, we'll have their links in our bio. Until next time, God bless and take care.